guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Porsche Tampa, and guess what? We're here for a very, very special reason. A devoted Rady's Rides subscriber and fan by the name of Joe, what a great name to have, has brought his new baby out. This is his 2021 all-new Porsche 911 Turbo S. But before we get into this Porsche supercar, let's talk about what's going on here. Whenever you want to get that ultimate performance from Porsche, what do you dial? 911. The 911, it's been around since 1963, if you could believe that. And what I love about Porsche and the 911 is that it truly has been an evolution rather than a revolution when it comes to overall design. When you look at this new 911 Turbo S, this is the 992 chassis. So if you ever have somebody say, hey, that's a 992, that's what they're talking about, the latest iteration of the Porsche 911 chassis. Now, going Turbo S is gonna bring you even more performance, more horsepower than ever before. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, first year of the Porsche 911 was 1963. What was the first year of the Turbo? That did not come about until 1975. Crazy, 1975, Porsche 911 Turbo, they called it the 930. And that really just started that whole flame for ultimate performance in the 911 platform. Now, even though this car has a lot of changes from 1975, it's all about that ultimate performance and, of course, having that design that just is so timeless. So let's go ahead. Let's find out. We're gonna dive into Joe's 911 Turbo S and find out, is this the ultimate, not only turbo 911, but is this a supercar to really lust after instead of going to one of those other supercar brands? Let's go ahead and find out. Right off the bat, love the styling on the 992 chassis. Now, the great news about Joe's is this one pretty much has almost every single option, especially when it comes to the aero on the exterior. Now, when we start at the front end of the business, love the classic design. Now, you go back to 1975 with that 930 Porsche 911 Turbo, it would actually have those round circular headlights. But I like the way they've transitioned from the round to oval, but it keeps that overall same shape and design. Blacked out on the interior, and you'll notice all that script in there telling you about that LED light system for the 911. Now, as we drop down, you have some more exterior lighting, and then of course, functionality is the name of the game. All of this is open with these flat black vertical slots to bring air into the heat exchangers. And then you'll notice with the extra aero that's been added on this particular model, how it really just cheats the wind and allows the air to guide around down the side of the vehicle. Because remember, at the end of the day, this car is pretty much a 10-second quarter-mile car. All-wheel drive, getting that power to the ground. Now, as we come across the front, I really love this color. This is called GT Silver. Absolutely fits the lines of the Porsche 911 perfect. In this center section, you'll notice the wide, massive opening, like I said, to bring more air. He does have the optional lift system that's gonna allow the vehicle to lift and go over speed bumps. And just like the C8 Corvette, you could store those settings, those locations in the system so that your 911 Turbo raises by itself. A little bit of gloss black. I'm kind of on the fence. I wish that there was more carbon fiber on these little extra pieces of aero and whatnot. So the gloss black is an interesting choice rather than going carbon fiber, especially when you look at all the other carbon fiber on this vehicle. Now, the Porsche crest, so much history behind this badging. I love the way that they sink it into the actual frunk. Remember, that's a front mounted trunk, just to give it that extra aerodynamic efficiency, and the body lines. Now let's talk about the history of this badge. Stuttgart, Germany, that's the home of the Porsche brand. That's where the factory is. That's where this car was born. If you ever wondered, why is there a prancing horse on the Porsche badge, but also on the Ferrari badge, it actually goes back to World War I. The pilot from Germany, from Weimar, okay, because that's where Stuttgart is today, was a pilot and had that insignia. He was actually shot down by a foe, by an Italian pilot that took that prancing horse badge as a way to pay homage. And guess what? When that pilot, that Italian pilot, passed away, to pay homage to him, that's where the mother went to Enzo Ferrari and said, use my son's logo, use that prancing horse on your car brand, and that's where the connection is between the two iconic brands. But I just absolutely love the style of that badging. It's so iconic, and it's borrowed basically from the Weimar coat of arms. Now, it's not technically a coat of arms anymore because it's got the name Porsche across the top, but still so much history there. Now, when we get up onto that frunk, you'll notice just how smooth it glides down, a little bit of rise. And one of the best things that I love about any 911 is when you're behind the business end, these fenders give you the perfect reference point so that you can hit every apex perfectly as you're going around your favorite racetrack. Now, come around the bend, you'll see that aero, really nicely done. Joe went ahead and had his wheels powder coated black. Love the style. So you're looking at a staggered setup. 20-inch wheel up front. Of course, these are forged aluminum. I love the way they do that center locking hub, just like on a race 911. And then if you're wondering, well, what the heck is behind there? Because that's bigger than the plate that I served my turkey on Thanksgiving Day. What is that thing? That's a 16.5-inch rotor. 16.5-inch rotor, carbon ceramic, two-piece with the aluminum hat and the carbon ceramic rotor. You'll notice the bright yellow. These things are massive bananas of a caliper. They're gonna squeeze on that rotor and just create the best banana split that's gonna slow this 911 down on a dime and give everybody change. And when you see that yellow, that signifies the carbon ceramic brake setup. But I love the way the yellow pops nicely with the black and that massive rotor. Of course, you're gonna get that special adaptive suspension, all four corners. And if you're wondering, well, what's the size of the tire on this thing? 255 up front, 35 series sidewall, 20-inch wheel. Wait until we get in the back. Now, as we go down the fender, of course, the fuel tank is up front. That's why we have our fuel filler door. I talked about carbon fiber. Here's where you get some of that carbon fiber. We got carbon fiber mirror caps. Joe went ahead and did not want the glass roof. He went ahead and got the carbon fiber roof. So that's gonna cut weight about 8 pounds off the top of this 911 turbo. That's gonna lower the center of gravity. A little bit of gloss black around the window treatment. But what I love is just that silhouette. It ties it back to the original 911. And that's why you could be on another planet looking at this car on a telescope and know it's a 911. On the 992, we go with the flush mounted door handles. Really increases that aerodynamic efficiency. There's some gloss black on that lower sill. This is another area I would have liked to have seen this in carbon fiber. So I am gonna zonk it because it is gloss black. It would have been nice, especially at this price point, to have this all carbon fiber. But obviously this is real aerodynamic efficiency. And then of course, force feeding that air for that twin turbo flat six. I'm gonna have Lori kind of swing around this way and really show how the flared fender, you know, that's one of the iconic things about a 911 turbo is that flared out fender, functional vents. Once again, would have been nice to have carbon fiber, but what we got at the tail end of the business is this massive wheel. This is a 21-inch wheel out back. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what is the size of this wheel? Besides it being 20 inches, of course, you're gonna have that extra width out back. Now, you'll notice you got the carbon ceramic rotors, which are great, and you still got another banana back here, the size of my freaking fist, that's gonna clamp down on that rear rotor to just give you the ultimate in stopping and braking capability. Now, as we come around the rear, more active aeros. So out back, you have some gloss black. Would have been nice to have carbon fiber, but this is actually gonna raise at speed. Love the way they did the LED taillights. Absolutely just flawless, how everything just flows together. Joe went ahead and went black on all the badging, so you got your Porsche badge out back. That LED is gonna light up really clean. 911, that's what you're gonna dial if you're looking for the ultimate in performance from a 911. And then of course you got this massive rear diffuser with the Sport Tune exhaust. Gonna let that flat six twin turbo really sing nice and loud. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop this rear engine hatch and see what we're looking at when it comes to performance. All right guys, time to check out the engine. One of the downfalls of the 911, especially the 911 turbo, is that it's been a while since you could actually see the engine from up top. That to me is one of those things that kind of puts a damper on the situation, but we still got plenty to talk about. And definitely as I walk past these tires, remember these rear tires are 315s steamrollers, because even though this is all-wheel drive, it's rear-wheel drive bias. So you're gonna get more power coming to the rear. But as we come to the rear, we do have the engine hatch open here. I like the way they do these aerodynamic slots. Everything is for aerodynamic efficiency. And underneath that back, I'm gonna have Lori kind of show off some of the curves of the back end, the tail end of the business on this vehicle. You're gonna be looking at actually a little bit smaller displacement than last year's 911 Turbo. This is a 3.7, instead of a 3.8, it's a 3.7 liter twin turbo flat six. Don't let displacement fool you though, because of larger intercoolers, because of some retuning, you're looking at 640 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. That's 60 horsepower more than last year. And guess what? Joe's example has a hypertune, so that actually boosts horsepower up to 750 horsepower. It is mated to a slick shifting 8-speed DCT, which Porsche calls a PDK, times based off stock horsepower numbers, not Joe's horsepower numbers, but stock horsepower numbers from Motor Trend. 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds, 0 to 130 in 8.9 seconds. Quarter mile is gonna blaze by. Like I said, Vin Diesel's looking for a 10-second car. This is a 10-second car. 10.1 in the quarter mile at 137 miles an hour. Top speed, 205 miles an hour. The car weighs 3,646 pounds. And that's what's just so mind-blowing to think about this car, is that you could drive this every day, but you have that kind of performance. And remember, over 200 miles an hour, at 200, you're traveling the length of a football field every second. That's 100 yards every second. Looking at the back, I wish I could show you more, but even down below, I love this wonderful aero for just dragging all that hot air out and keeping the aero flowing and keeping you planted to the ground. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this 911 Turbo S and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we're in Joe's custom ordered. He custom ordered this 992 Turbo S. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been wanting to see one of these. I've been down to my local Porsche dealership. I can't even find one. Thank you so much for bringing this to us. How much is it though? I'm very curious. So the way that Joe has optioned this, MSRP is $262,000. He also, like I pointed out, had the wheels powder coated black. This car has been ceramic coated with the PPF film, and he's got some other goodies coming. But why don't we go ahead, let's see what you're getting for the money to the door panels. Absolutely love the way that this is spec'd out. The two-tone with the red and the black, absolutely on point. The leather, the contrast stitching, some carbon fiber, some nice silver trim there. There is some gloss black, and of course it's right on the lock and unlock buttons for the doors. But other than that, very, very classy, especially as you go down to the small door pocket. The great news is you could fit a couple Twinkies in there for your track day, no problem. Now, when you go from the door panel to the dash, even though it's the 21st century and there's a lot of technology, you're still getting the same basic setup. I love the way they do their dash, nice and far towards the windshield, the stitching, the leather, the carbon, the silver, and then we get to the center area where, of course, you're gonna get that timeless chrono clock up top, and then the infotainment system that has been updated. I like the way it's kind of sunken in and not just an iPad style. It's got a nice hood to it as the top of the dash extends out. Of course, you can get into all your settings. This has navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I mean, that goes without warning. You got your dual climate control, heated seats, ventilated seats. This really is the ultimate supercar daily driver. We have our toggle switches. That's for your front lift system. That's to open up that sport exhaust and let that flat six twin turbo really sing. You got the suspension adjustments, and then look at how they do the AC with the stitch work. More toggle switches for your dual climate. There's a bit of gloss black. It is a little gloss black heavy. I am gonna have to zonk that, but what I'm definitely not gonna zonk is the way they design this center area. That's to control your PDK. Remember, it's an 8-speed DCT transmission. You got your 911 badge there. We have ventilated seats, heated seats, one single cup holder. There's no way in hell you're gonna be drinking in my 911 Turbo. Carbon fiber, the red stitching, beautiful armrest with the Porsche crest there. And then to top it off, look at these seats. One piece back, nice, comfortable, full electric assist. You can move these every different way from Sunday. The stitching, the bolstering, very nicely done. Even the way they went two-tone on the door sill. And then of course, the cherry on top is gonna be those floor mats. Absolutely stunning with the stitch work, the Porsche name. And then up top, Alcantara all throughout, even on the A-pillars. Why don't you come on over here though, because this is the better place behind the wheel of this 911 Turbo S. All right guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 3 memory seat settings for the driver's side. That carbon fiber, the 911 Turbo S, obviously gonna illuminate very nicely as you're welcomed into your beast of a car. And then that foot box is absolutely perfect. You get a nice sized dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle with the aluminum touches. Seats are great. Remember the history behind this car, because not only are the seats great, you got plenty of headroom to get your helmet on, and where the ignition is just like the original Porsche 911s. On the left side of the steering wheel, that is all tied back to the race start at Le Mans, when the drivers used to start across the front straightaway and then they fire off the gun. They would have to run to their car. They decided to put that over here so you could put it into first gear, fire up your car, and get going. But you know what? Sitting here, beautiful leather wrap steering wheel. I love the contrast stitching. You got your drive mode selector switch, just like a race car, one of those Le Mans race cars. The carbon fiber, the Porsche crest. I love the way they hollow out the spokes. You have the aluminum paddles on the back of the wheel to go up and down that 8-speed PDK transmission. And then you know what? The dash, it's got 21st century technology, but with that classic layout right smack down in the center. I'm so glad that they went analog on the tach. Everything else is gonna be full digital, super clear. You could go through all your different functions very, very easily for whatever performance you want. Looking out across the dash just really is that classic setup. But you know what? We're not gonna look at the front. Yes, there's 2 back seats, but they're pretty much for maybe a stuffed animal or 2. If you're ready, this guy's ready. Let's take Joe's 911 Turbo S for a spin. All right, guys, we left Porsche of Tampa. We're in Joe's 992 Turbo S. I have it in sport mode. Obviously, gonna just let that PDK do its thing, but here we go. On throttle, here we go. Wow, oh my God. Wow, this thing, I'm telling you right now, it pins you and goes. And the amazing thing is it's rock solid stable. Rock solid stable. Now, I wish it actually had a little bit more exhaust note to it, but I do realize that a twin turbo engine, turbocharged engines, tend to be a little quieter because of the turbos. But I'm telling you right now, that extra horsepower and everything is just mind-blowing in this car. Just like any other 911 or 911 Turbo, the interior is spot on perfect. It's exactly what you want for a true driver's car. And the fact that you can daily drive this, and here I am on the highway over the expansion joints, it's really not a harsh ride whatsoever. Dash layout is spot on the money. I do miss the analog gauges, but still having a nice large analog tach in the center really just makes it feel like home for a Porsche 911. Steering wheel is fantastic. No flat bottom steering wheel. You don't need it. It's a nice small wheel, ready for the racetrack, ready for your favorite twisty road. Unbelievable experience. Guys, this time I'm gonna manually shift with those beautiful paddles behind the wheel. On throttle, here we go! Oh my God! Wow! This thing is gonna detach your retinas from your freaking eyeballs. That's how hard it accelerates. And the shifts are so spot on precise. So spot on precise. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into Sport Plus mode. I've been in Sport mode, putting it now into Sport Plus, but I'm telling you, this PDK transmission, yeah, it'd be cool to have a manual, but you're definitely not gonna out-accelerate this thing. I mean, second gear, on throttle, here we go. Oh my God. Oh my God. When you put it into Sport Plus mode, the spoiler extends even higher up to give you that downforce that you need. This thing is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I got people giving me thumbs ups as I'm driving down the road. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Here we go. On throttle, here we go. Look at this. Wow. This thing is an animal. And then of course with those massive carbon ceramic brakes, you got 16.5 inches up front, over 15 inches in the rear. I'm glad I brought my towel for this one. It's hard, like your frontal lobe, which is the part of your brain that's all about logic and judgment and reasoning, it doesn't understand how fast this car really is. Unbelievable. All right, guys, here we go. First gear, on throttle. Wow, God. Oh, my God. Wow. Here we go. Woohoo! This thing is unbelievable. The input from the wheels, the front wheels to the steering wheel, that all-wheel drive, working the power front to rear, keeps you planted, gets the power down. I'm telling you, it's violent. This thing is a beast that is violent. And you know, back in the, late 70s through the 80s, even the 90s, 911 turbos, they old school, they hit on the higher RPM range. Now this builds the power great through the whole rev range, but you still got to be on your toes. This thing's almost leaving me speechless. I can't even talk. I can't even think. Just melts your brain. All right, guys, here we go. Second gear, on throttle. Golly. On the brakes. Downshift. Wow, look at this. God. I'm telling you right now, I've driven some pretty fast, amazing cars on Rady's rides and raced cars professionally for about almost 4 years after college. This thing is on another level. I mean, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, guys, here we go. Second gear again. On throttle, here we go. On the brakes. Nice. Jeez Louise. Golly. I mean, it's so fast. The car is just that freaking good. But you gotta still be mindful. You still gotta be careful. You gotta watch your marks. You wanna take your vision and put it way down forward because you're gonna be there lickety split. Joe is a lucky man. Joe is a lucky, lucky man. All right, guys, one more time for you, one more time for me, one more time definitely for Joe. Here we go. On throttle. Wow. 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 Who needs theme parks? Who needs roller coasters? You need one of these. 911 Turbo S. We're gonna head back to Porsche Tampa. I'm sure Joe is probably wondering where I'm at right now, but this is a hell of a car. I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been one of those mind-blowing days here at Porsche Tampa. We owe it all to one person, and that's Joe, for allowing Rady's Rides to be able to share his new 2021 911 Turbo S with all of you. It just goes to show that if you want the ultimate when it comes to straight line performance, when it comes to road course performance, when it comes to everyday use, dialing 911 is gonna bring you all of that plus some, and you have that iconic silhouette that I really feel is one of those timeless designs. But if you want to keep seeing some supercar fun on Rady's Rides, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber like Joe, thank you so much for your support and love and being part of that Rady's Rides family. If you want to help us create some more content for you, click that first link in the description, become a Radies Rise Patreon member. Click the second link, get yourself some Radies Rise merch. Got to give it up to the queen of the camera. She's definitely going to win an award from YouTube for her great camera work. Show Lori some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.